I am Leslie Herod. I am the first out LGBTQ African-American person to serve in the Colorado General Assembly, recently retired, and I'm here in Denver, Colorado.
I'd like to know how you got from there to here today.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting question because, you can start the journey or the conversation about the journey in many places. But I will say that I'm the daughter of my mom, who was an officer in the Army. I was born in Germany, which really brings in my love for travel, but also my connection to people. Lived all across the world and the country, and then found myself right here in Colorado. I went to school in Boulder, where I thought I was going to be a cheerleader, and instead I realized that there was another calling for me, which was to get involved in civic engagement. There weren't a lot of people that looked like me on campus, and there wasn't a lot of voice that represented underrepresented students. So if you can believe it, I ran for student government. Didn't know we had the largest in the nation at CU, but along the way met some amazing friends, mentors, and co-conspirators. We didn't stop after college. We continued in politics, and one day I found myself at the state capitol, and I knew state level policy was where I wanted to make a difference, at least for the foreseeable future, and served for 8 years in the Capitol.
Now, from cheerleader to politician, was there a significant moment that changed your course?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because, when I went on campus, the first day on campus at CU, I know I saw Black people in the brochure, but when I went into that auditorium style classroom, I was the only Black woman in there. And then I went to my next class, and it was the same way. And as I was walking around campus thinking I made a really bad decision, this Black man tapped me on my shoulder and he said, "I know what you're looking for. Come with me." I was like, this doesn't sound safe, but I'm gonna do it because it's daytime. And we actually went to the student union and for lunch, and that's where I saw students that did look like me. Tables of Black and brown and LGBTQ and women, feminists, and everyone kind of sitting together in the UMC. We called it the ghetto at the time, but then I realized there was a community for us. We just had to make it, and we had to fight to keep it. And so at the same time, I saw that flyer for student government and said, someone from every single one of these tables, if you will, should run. We should run a coalition. And we did. We ran a progressive coalition, and we won every single seat that we ran for and took over the student government. Now, by the time I was 20 years old, I was the president, and I ran a $36 million budget. And so really, it's kind of how I realized that public policy really can make a difference, but also I was pretty good at it. And so when I ran for State House here in Colorado, it wasn't something that I could say was a no-brainer because I didn't know if I was going to have to come out again. I definitely wasn't going to go back in, but I had a lot of support from people who held the seat previously, and they encouraged me to run. And so I did, and I ran and I won and was able to make the difference I really wanted to make.
Coming of age in this country.
Yeah.
What were those memories that carried you through?
Yeah, well, I will say that when I came out at CU, that was really my coming of age, letting folks know who I was and really understanding it myself because, as a Black queer woman, back then, I didn't see any representation of us in the media. So, my mom, we lived on the Presidio, so we always went to the Castros. My mom was from Oakland, California, so being gay wasn't foreign to me, but being a gay Black female and knowing that I can live my life that way was not something I really understood. And so having my first girlfriend, Erica from Spelman, she had the cutest freckles. Definitely you hauled her and moved her up to Boulder. I knew who I was then, right away, and that wasn't a phase or it wasn't experimenting. But my mom had a harder time with it than I had anticipated. And so coming out to her and going through the struggles of, us being in disconnect for quite a while until she came to terms with the fact that, I can present the way that I present. I'm still her daughter, and I was going to be safe, and I was going to be okay and be able to be who I am fully. And that was actually an asset, not something that was harmful. It was a journey, but I had such an amazing community here in Denver. I actually performed as a drag king occasionally down here at a small club called 60 South and really found my community here. And the rest is kind of history.
Who are the role models for you?
Yeah.
Who encouraged you?
State Representative Rosemary Marshall was my ride or die role model and encouragement. When I started working at the Capitol, I came down after college and didn't have a job, even after the student politics and all of that, and founding nonprofits and whatnot. But I graduated during a recession. And I found myself in Rosemary Marshall's office as her intern, and didn't know anything really about Northeast Denver, about the community. And she taught me all about it, showed me all about it, but also let me lead in the way that I wanted to lead. And so I ran for her seat 8 years later. She was and has still been so encouraging to me. Wilma and Wellington Webb also have been supporters of me. They held the seat previously as well. And so there was really just a Denver community that embraced every part of me. I didn't have to pretend not to be gay or pretend not to be progressive or who I am as an activist or a human person, not from Denver. I could be my full self. And so they really encouraged that. But also seeing folks like Barbara Jordan and Shirley Chisholm really, kind of paved the way for us in ways that I don't know that we really knew or understood until now.
What has changed for you from November of 2024 to now?
Yeah. Well, when I took my seat in the College General Assembly, when I won my election, I won under the first Trump presidency. And so I will say that that night was very mixed bag. Celebratory because I won the seat, but really actually quite nervous for this country and unsure of, the administration I would be serving under at the state level. That was, quite a moment. But I got to tell you, seeing Trump win this time, and I was working with Kamala Harris's campaign, but seeing him win this time was terrifying. And now seeing the way that he is serving is even more terrifying than we could have anticipated. Everything was written, and we knew what was coming, but I gotta tell you, like seeing it and seeing him be maybe one of the most effective presidents in his first 100 days and effective in destroying our democracy and tearing down everything that we believe in, it's shocking. And being a Black woman, knowing how Black women have been mistreated, underappreciated in the political system, but also in our leadership, it has done a lot to me in my leadership. It's made me want to step back. It's made me want to really reflect and focus on taking care of myself and other Black women. But we can't leave behind all the work that we've done. And so you see this dance of like stepping in and stepping out and stepping in and checking in with ourselves. And that's kind of where I am right now in this moment. But every day we can turn on the news if we choose to. And we can see something being dismantled that quite frankly, is gonna and has ripped apart the fabric of who we knew this country and society to be.
What can we do?
As hard as it is to say we've got to get back in the game, I think we do have to get back in the game. I mean, I have seen so many people not knowing what to do. I think we are leaderless without Black women. I think the country feels the lack of engagement from folks that look like us. And we've got to come up with a plan together, I think, of how we want to lead this country moving forward. But we also have to learn the lessons from the past, which is we can't sacrifice ourselves in the meantime. We can't continue to give so much of ourselves in ways that make our mental health less secure or our physical well-being tenuous. Black women are suffering from overexposure, if you will, in so many ways that we've got to be careful about ensuring that does not happen again to us.
What's the importance of history?
Yeah, I think it's important to know your history so that you kind of have a sense of what is to come, but also I get a lot of strength from the history, from my history, from the history of people like me, from the history of Denver, from the history of seeing what it means to persevere and to overcome and to hear those stories and to lead with history in mind. I mean, if I didn't know about those leaders that came before me, I don't know if I would know how to lead today, because I do lead with them in my heart. And so It's so important to know and understand our history. It's so important to build upon that history and know that we also carry the weight of that history, right? The weight of what has come before us and the weight of knowing that we are also making history today. And so working with the future is just as important as remembering the past.
What would you want to say to young folk moving through in this moment?
Yeah.
What do they need to know?
I think for all of us, it really is just don't give up. We can't give up on ourselves. We can't give up on each other. And we definitely can't give up on the young people who are trying to make their way in the world today. Can you imagine if we stopped leading, stop being, stop working, stop activating? What future are we leaving those young people who just want to see something to be inspired by, or just want to know how to lead and maybe think about their mark on history? If we stop today, I don't think we're giving them a fair shot at their tomorrow. And so we got to keep going.
Yeah. And I do think that it's an intergenerational conversation that we need to have. Yeah. We learn from the past. We have the wisdom of those who've been through the fires before.
Yes.
We have the innovation of youth who are seeking direction.
Mm-hmm. And they're amazing.
Yeah.
They're amazing. They're stepping up and stepping out in ways that I could not imagine. And I'm sure we did the same thing, you know? And so let them lead too. And gosh,
absolutely.
Lead into their joy. I mean, when I see these young people dancing and celebrating and smiling with each other and being their full selves, that pushes me forward too. And I know it gives so many people joy just to see theirs.
Yeah, and I've been talking to some young folk who are wanting to know where to enter, wanting to be a part of. What would be your advice?
Just show up. I mean, listen, Shirley Chisholm.
Where?
Well, Shirley Chisholm had that saying, right? If there is not a seat at the table for you, pull up a folding chair, right? Well, listen, when I came into politics, I had nowhere to go. And I literally walked myself and my resume into the Colorado State Capitol, not even knowing where to go or whose office was where. And I took my resume around until someone said, all right, I'm gonna give you a chance, and hired me in the Capitol, in the Speaker's office. And then Rosemary Marshall came in and became my mentor, and I also worked for her. I just took a chance and just showed up where I felt comfortable and where I knew I could lead. And so I can't really tell you to join this group or join that group because that might not be for you. You might decide to make your own group, make your own way, but just show up and take that first step, you know, and take that risk and say, I want to be in this space, you know, I'm going to go here and I'm going to activate, or I'm going to go to this rally, or you know what, I'm just going to do it through social media and the way that I know how to speak to people, whatever works for young people, you know, and just know that you have support here, especially for those that are looking to engage in politics and public policy and community engagement as their authentic selves. Like, I will tell you that I will be here to be your mentor just as so many were there to be mine. So reach out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.